Hello, my name's Al and today I'm going to show you how to fix your tubeless tyre. In order to fix a tubeless tyre, you're going to need a few things. You're going to need a pump, a tubeless specific, large volume pump or a charger style pump like this, which can release a lot of air in one go, is ideal. You're going to need some paper towel, tyre sealant, alcohol or disc brake cleaner, tubeless sealant syringe, valve core remover, patch, tip top, special cement and emery paper. New tyre. To remove the tyre, pop the bead into the centre of the rim. That will give you a fair bit of slack and you might be able to remove the tyre by hand. That is the best way because you're less likely to cause damage to the tyre. This one has been a bit stubborn this time around. I'm sure I have got it off with just my hands before, but it's not playing ball. So if you get your tyre levers, carefully pop the bead off the rim. Like so. Once you've got one bead off, the other should follow quite easily. With the tyre off the rim, just going to give it a good clean, remove any of the old sealant, and once we're happy, we can put that to one side. In true Blue Peter style, you can see here, it's one we did earlier. It's a patch that's been on there for a good 6 months and yeah, not caused any trouble since. So they can be repaired. If your tyre's only recently been fitted or you've recently replenished the sealant inside the tyre, you can reuse it. It only lasts for a couple of months, but if it's only been in there a short time, then you can use your syringe to suck up the fluid that's in there and you can reuse it when you refit the tyre. In this particular tyre though, most of it's congealed. You can see it's in there. It's not much use anymore. So we're going to clean that old sealant out of there. There's no point riding around with that in the tyre. It's just extra weight. It's not going to do anything. So grab your paper towel, give it a good clean, and then we'll move on to fixing the hole. So this cut that we've got here is, yeah, just over 5mm. I'd say that's about the limit to the size of the cut that you want to repair in a tubeless tyre. With this as well, I would say, personally, I'd fit it on the back of the bike. It's going to end up being replaced more quickly than if it was on the front. It might not be quite as reliable, so it's yeah, better to have it on the back. So we're going to fix this from the outside first of all. So a bit of paper towel and some alcohol or disc brake cleaner. I'm just going to make sure that that cut is really clean. The cleaner it is, the better chance we've got of it sticking together with the super glue. Now you don't want to use much super glue, just a little bit to hold the cut together. It'd be a good idea now to leave that tyre overnight and that will go off, harden nicely, and then we can fix it from the inside. So we're going to use always a feathered patch. Bigger the better, bigger the cut, bigger the patch, but generally if you're fixing the tyre, go for the biggest patch you can. As I said before, the cut has to be on the centre of the tread. Doing a sidewall fix isn't going to be very reliable. You're probably going to end up with a bulge in the tyre as well, so best probably to replace those ones. If you get your rubber solution, so this is your special cement from Tip Top, it's this funky blue colour. So making sure that the hole is central to that glue that you're putting in place, and we're putting plenty of glue on. I'd open a window as well because this stuff hums. There we go, plenty on there, and you can see that our patch should be accommodated by that glue quite nicely. Now we can leave that just to go tacky. Just take about 5–10 minutes, then we can fix our patch into place. Remove the foil backing, and without touching it with your fingers, make sure it's properly positioned. Press the patch into place. It's probably worth wearing gloves at this point because I'm sure this cement isn't particularly kind on your skin. Make sure there's no bubbles. And at this point, again, ideally, you're going to be leaving that overnight so it dries properly. So this is drying quite nicely now. I would have liked to have left it a bit longer, but it's coming off. So I'm just pulling this foil off and making sure that the edges are pressed down properly. If you find that any of the edges aren't stuck down properly, you can get some more special cement, put that onto the inside of the tyre and get those feathered edges to really stick down in place. So that's it, we're all repaired, fixed from the inside. It doesn't even need to be completely airtight. You might even find, if you take the tyre off a few months down the line, that part of it might have peeled off, but the sealant will seal any smaller hole. You've made the hole smaller with the super glue in the first place. That'll hold the tyre together from the outside, and on the inside, the patch will reinforce it. And it does work. If you've got an expensive tyre and you want to reuse it, then it's the way to go. So whether you're fitting your tyre that you've repaired or you're replacing it because the cut's just too big to fix, this is how it's done. Fit the first bead of your tyre to the rim. Make sure that you've got the rotational direction correct. So this Hutchinson tyre's got a directional arrow, which means that it will turn that way. The Pro Touch, you want to line your logo up with the valve, and we can now start to fit the second bead. Don't go all the way, leave a bit at the bottom and you can add your sealant. That's my preferred way of doing it. You can inject the sealant through the valve using your injector. Once it's completely fitted, just remove the core and then squirt the sealant straight through. It can be more likely to clog the valve though. So personally, I prefer just to add it straight to the tyre. It's off anyway, so here we go. Most important thing when you add sealant is to make sure it's shaken properly. This 25C tyre will be happy with about 60 to 100 mil of sealant. So there we go, there's 60. We're going to inject that straight into the tyre. Like so. And if we rotate the wheel, that sealant will go into the tyre where it's already fitted onto the rim. Can be a bit of a messy business. And we can pop the last bit of the bead into place. If it's a bit tight, you might have to use tyre levers. Again, it's best not to. So there we go, that's the tyre popped onto the rim. Just make sure that at the valve, the beadie's sitting either side of the valve so we can get plenty of air in there. Okay, so now it's time to inflate the tyre. This top heat pump has been inflated to 160 psi. And when we release it, with any luck, the tyre will pop onto the rim. Well, I'm pretty pleased to say that went on first time. It's left it at 80 psi. Just going to top that up to your desired pressure, or a little bit above. With the tyre popped onto the rim, we're just going to check to make sure that it's seated correctly on both sides. So we're looking at the line that runs around the circumference of the tyre, just making sure that it's an even distance away from the rim all the way around. Another check that we can do, just to give it a little spin, just check that there's no undulations and that the tyre is sitting where it should do, and that's all good. Add the valve cap if you wish and give it a good wipe down. With the tyre on the rim, we're just going to rotate it, give it a wiggle, make sure that the sealant coats every part of the tyre. You might see a little bit of sealant weeping, that's okay. It might lose a little bit of pressure over the next day or two, but just keep it topped up and it should all be good. Riding is a great thing to do, obviously. In terms of the tubeless tyre, it does help to distribute the sealant, so yeah, just get out on your bike. If you have repaired your tyre, just check that the cut you've repaired is successful, so make sure there's no air and sealant coming out of it. Should be fine. If there is a tiny bit of sealant, position it at the bottom of the wheel, give it a wiggle, and it'll allow the sealant to congeal in that hole and to seal it properly. You shouldn't have any problems. If you do, you may end up replacing the tyre, but hey, it was worth a shot. So that's it, all ready to go out and hit the road. Thanks for watching, see you next time.